Hey guys, all right, hang challenge. I want to give you guys some tips. I know we're on, the early days of the challenge here, day 5. Had to double check that. Day 5 on the challenge. So I want to give you this tip so that you can use it for the entirety of the challenge and make the most out of it. So this tip, my dog's going to be playing with a toy in the background, of course. This tip I got from another coach, Max Schenk is his name. Highly recommend you check him out. He's got some great ideas overall on training for health and longevity, athleticism, just being really well-rounded, and has some really interesting stuff that you won't see a lot of other places. Training in interesting ways of training balance and your vestibular system, vision, hand-eye coordination, some really cool stuff. In addition to, deadlifts and presses and all the normal stuff, handstands. But anyway, this is called a squat flow. He has a video on it on his YouTube channel. You can check it out. But I'll just show you here. This works perfectly for what we're doing in the hang challenge. If you're doing the assisted hang, where you're going to keep your feet on the floor. I'll bring this a little closer, so that you can do extended periods of time. Regardless of how strong you are, if you keep your if you keep your feet on the floor, you're going to be able to hang for longer, which has a different effect. It's kind of like the difference between high rep, low weight training and low rep, high weight training, where one is going to give you more brute strength, maximal strength development, and the other one's more like strength endurance. So these are both good. And this, the assisted hang, is a good way to start because it's gentler, it's lower load on all the tissues that are involved. So it's a good place to start and gradually build up those tissues, the connective tissue, the muscles, the smaller supporting structures. And then you can get to where you can do cool stuff like, one arm unassisted hangs and things like that. So anyway, you need your bar or your rings or whatever you're hanging from about shoulder height, like this, where I'm grabbing is about as high as my shoulders when you're standing all the way up on whatever you're standing on, so that you can get to the full pull-up position, because we're going to actually move in this squat flow, squat hang flow. So start at the bottom, arms fully extended in a deep squat. If you're still working on your deep squat, then this might not be an option yet, so you could adjust the height of your rings accordingly, okay? But I like this because it incorporates the squat, and as you probably know, we did a whole month of squatting, so you can probably figure out I'm a fan of the squat. So now we can hang and squat at the same time. It's awesome. So you can start out just being here. This is a great way to hang, because I'm hanging, fully extended, weight in my arms, still getting a little bit of that decompression on the spine. I'm working my shoulders, working my grip, and I'm stretching and working my squat. So I'm getting 2 for 1 here. Now I can just be static and hang out. I can work on deep breathing, belly breathing, and all kinds of different breathing techniques. I can also shift, like I talked about in the squat challenge videos. We can rock side to side. We can twist a little bit. We can pry. We can, without using the elbows, but we can drive the knees apart. I can do one at a time. Working on that hip mobility. I can rock them to the inside. Work on that internal hip rotation, and then I can also play around with some scap pull-ups. I can do some grippers here, just by, hopefully you guys can see this, opening and closing the hand. I'm basically lifting part of my body weight by closing my hand. It's like using those hand grippers, and these are actually pretty tough, honestly. And then I can also move up and down out of that position, so I'm kind of sharing the load between my arms and my legs as I do these squat pull-ups. And it's not that I would want to just sit here and do lots and lots of reps of that. You could, but you could also move really slow, and you could pause, hold in different positions, and you can rotate in and out. We can play around with one arm like we did here. I can put my hand here and rotate. Still a little bit of load on the arm. I can switch. I can move up and down just with one side. And this feels very different because I'm getting some unilateral work here. So the way it uses my core, my trunk muscles, and my balance feels a lot different. We can play with that on both sides. We can do one leg. So this is also a nice chance to play around with some single leg stuff and do it assisted. So I'm hanging, I'm working on my pulling strength, but I can also play around with single leg stuff a little bit. So I could do a few pistols. I could take this leg behind. Don't have much room behind me, but I could do some single leg lunges. You can also set up different heights. If you have it set up like this, I can play with one high, one low, right? My range of motion is different, obviously, but you can do things like this, changing hand positions, right? Coming up, coming down. I can also extend into more of a bridge position. If I move my feet forward, I can bridge up, and I can play around with rotating like this, dropping down, coming up. I can just hang here for a little bit. That's another Max Schenk drill, being in that bridge position where you're rotating with the hips extended. Really nice move. So there's a lot of other stuff you can do, but hopefully that gives you a few ideas of some things you can play around with while you're doing your hang. My dog is still making a ton of noise out there. To give you some variety, and it's just fun to explore what you can do while you hang and get more out of it. So give those different ideas a shot. Again, check out Max Schenk if you're interested. He's got lots of good stuff for mobility and strength and all kinds of good stuff. So that's it for today, guys. Get those hangs in, and I'll see you next time. Stay strong.